So we donate a group private lesson, sometimes for even up to like 10 students. So it has a high ticket value. And then the person at the school, they're bidding on this item. So all the money is going towards the school. And then what that allows them to do is they bring themselves and 9 of their friends into your space. And so it's kind of a very nice, like, win-win-win where everyone's getting it. And we've seen from that, after a full lesson, you're skating with your friends. We do get a few students sometimes that'll continue on. And it's the ones that are signing up that they know they already like it. So it's great that they've gotten a chance to try it out.
What's up, everyone? This is Brett at Start Your Skate Business. And today we have a special guest, Kevin Banahan, of the owner of SkateYogi, with 2 locations based in New York. So first I want to say welcome, Kevin.
Hey, Brett. Thanks for having me. Good to be here.
Absolutely. So can you explain what is SkateYogi?
Sure. Yeah. So SkateYogi is a skateboard school. Like you mentioned, we're based here in Brooklyn. We've got 2 locations, one in Prospect Lefferts Gardens, which is kind of central Brooklyn, and another in Williamsburg, which is in North Brooklyn. Those are both like indoor skate spaces with small ramps and everything. We do classes for as young as 2 years old all the way up to adults. We have camps on all the school holidays, as well as a summer camp program. And then we also do birthday parties, events, and some offsite events as well.
Nice. And so you're coming up on your 11th year anniversary. Can you tell me, within this 11 years, what are some, like, how did it start? How did SkateYogi start?
Okay, so bringing it back to that, I guess my previous career, I was working in the environmental field. I was an environmental professional doing work like engineering and consulting, things like that. Earlier in my career, doing that was really interesting. I actually got to do some things in like university research, teaching. And then as the career track progressed, it went more to like consulting. And then finally, after the crash in 2008, the financial crash, I ended up in these kind of like corporate environmental jobs. And what sounded really great on paper just was very incompatible with my working style. And after 2 tries at like corporate jobs, I just wasn't able to hack it. It wasn't for me. So I was looking to kind of shift my career path, and I was thinking about heading towards teaching. And one day I was at a yoga class with my wife. And then after the class, me and Yasuya, my wife, and the yoga teacher, and also she was the owner of the studio, Jill, we were kind of dreaming out loud. And I was talking about like, what am I going to do next? And she said, well, what's your dream job? And the first thing I said off the top of my head was, man, I would love to teach skateboarding. I don't know what made me say that. I've been a lifelong skateboarder. I love teaching skateboarding. But when I said that, it just kind of felt like this thing that came out. And then she said, oh, sure. Why don't you teach a skateboarding class here at the yoga studio? And I was like, well, looked around, it's like a yoga studio. I was like, I don't know. I don't know if that would really work to skate in here. And also I'm not sure about, the kids and everything like that. But actually what she was interested in was getting an adult class through the yoga studio. So that was actually the beginning of SkateYogi. And that's how we got our name as well. SkateYogis. It was kind of this class that we taught in conjunction with the yoga studio in the park nearby. And that class was for adult beginners. And it was really cool because I was like on the calendar of classes in the yoga studio. If you went to their website and saw, Vinyasa 1, this and that. And then on Saturdays, it was skateboarding with Kevin. And that was the first ever SkateYogi class. I had a cart full of skateboards. I threw all my skateboards in the cart with some pads and everything, dragged them up the hill to the park. And that was actually a series. And it was kind of my first taste at teaching skateboarding. And interesting enough, like having it be for adults added kind of like a layer to it, because then I knew I was going to have to explain everything. So I know I had like ahead of time my notes. How do I even teach skateboarding? I've been teaching, I've been skating forever, but how do I even go about teaching this? So that's kind of like how we got our first start. And that's the class that I was saying earlier was almost 11 years ago next month, the first ever SkateYogi class.
Incredible. So a couple of questions about that, like, because I know, like, for people who want to start a skateboard coaching or skateboard and teaching business or organization, either nonprofit or for profit, but how did you go about getting the skateboards before you even had like, or how many skateboards were there? Like, I just don't know, like how, if you can explain how you got the pads, the skateboards for this group. I know it's 11 years ago, but not everyone really has skateboards just laying around.
That's a great question. And I I want to say not 100% sure, but I could check this. I think what I did was, so I taught it as a course, and it was about, I think it was probably 4 or 6 weekends. And I think I included the cost of a board in the course. So I went and got the skateboards, some, complete skateboards at a rate I could get. And I think I built that into the course because yeah, it was like a chicken and the egg at that point. Like I wasn't about to go buy. I think I had for the first class, there was 6 or 7 students, but still that would have been, a big commitment to go out and buy, 7 skateboards just for one class. So I think for that class, I may have actually included it, and not included it, but kind of like wrapped it up as a bundle, like the skateboard and the class together.
Yeah, that's really cool. That method or strategy of including the price of a product within the course price, like really recently just came to me like a year, maybe 2 years ago. But I think that's so important to know that ahead of time for people who are starting out.
Yeah, and I think it worked that one particularly because it's adults. I know for most of our classes that we teach on site, or actually all of our classes on site, we have like a fleet of rental boards, and so that's included. Like you can just use one of our skateboards. The logistics of an offsite class are a little bit different, but I like to include a skateboard, especially when it's for kids, because they might come and do a class or even a series, try out skateboarding. They get a little bit of an experience with it, but if they decide it's not for them, then they're not stuck with their own board. But I know for the adults, it was a little bit of a different decision because I know they can have a little more agency in deciding that's something they want to take on.
Yeah. So what are some of your biggest fears like when you were starting out? I know like some people starting out, they have the fear that no one will come to their programs or they're going to invest into their programs and they're going to lose money. The perceptions of what people will think of them at the skate park if they're with some kids doing a lesson and they're trying to make money off skateboarding. I know that could at least be frowned upon sometimes. So how did you, like, what were your biggest fears that you had to overcome starting out?
Yeah, I guess because I started pretty small with a few classes and kind of ramped up, I didn't have to worry too much about the financial risk because I probably for the first 2 years, maybe even into the third year, at any point I could have walked away from it because I hadn't committed to a space yet at that point. But I would say that right off the bat, one fear I did have was that somehow by wrapping up my work in skateboarding, that it would spoil skateboarding for me, something that's been like a pure passion of mine since I was a kid or a teenager, when something I really do for the heart of it. So I was kind of like tough because as skateboarders we're all bleeding hearts, like you mentioned before, like, oh, making money off of skateboarding could like seem to like course skaters as like you're teaching skateboarding or you're taking something away from it, that it could be somehow it can taint it a little bit. But I think I was fortunate to first of all start small, so I was able to try it out in little bits, and then also my wife Yasuo, who's also my business partner, it was kind of nice to have her, like we were partners in this, so she was really able to kind of take more of like, I guess, like the business decisions or when it came to like pricing. So I would always hate to like raise a price, but then she would be able to make the argument to me, well, if you're not able to like sustain your living doing this, then no one's going to get to enjoy it. After you see the lives you're affecting through skateboarding and introducing and teaching your students and the great time they're having, that you're not doing anyone a disservice. You're not doing anyone a service by setting your prices really low so that you won't be able to continue doing it, so that you need to be able to keep doing it. So that was one thing I think was a fear for me in the beginning.
Totally. Yeah, and I can relate as well. Yeah, pricing is always was extremely challenging in the beginning. Yeah, my prices were extremely low, and I wasn't able to sustain myself, or in like paying rent was hard. And especially once once you begin to scale and you start having staff members and that sort, it is tough when you want to start out. And it's important to have your prices low in the beginning to figure out like what you need to do and improve on, but then eventually, increase those numbers so you can sustain and grow your company.
Yeah, and also I'll add on because I said in the beginning that was the thing, and then certainly as we moved ahead and then started to think about getting our own space and we're signing the lease and we're hiring employees, then you do start to get that fear of like financial, like, oh, you got to make it work, and then the numbers kind of start to become a little more real, and then you're not doing something where you're just like, oh, I can walk away from this if it's not working. You really are like putting a commitment forward towards your customers, the landlord, the people that are working for you are also living off of that, or partially so. So then that definitely became kind of like a moment where there was a little bit of anxiety around it, but we had done enough kind of, I don't know, testing or just enough classes to be able to project to a pretty certain amount of certainty that we can make it work.
How long did you have classes going before you opened up your original location?
So I guess almost about 2.5 years, I would say. We were teaching in the parks. We did find a space that we were able to partner up with in the beginning that had some ramps, but they didn't have programming. So we would come in before the shop opened and we're able to teach classes there. And so that was, I guess, a good little like Kickstarter for us to get started without taking on a full space of our own, but able to contribute to that shop. And then eventually our capacity or our enrollment started to grow up. And then the analogy I make is that, for a little while, it was like, that was our friend's place and we were crashing on the couch, but it was time to get our own place after we knew that we had the numbers to have a space that we could really design for our specific purpose and not be just kind of a plug-in like before the shop opens. So that was helpful as well, especially with the New York City winter and weather. I mean, even today it's a nice day, but it's a little bit rainy. So that's always a challenge when you don't have an indoor space. So I guess that was kind of our test phase, that first like 2.5 years before we actually got our own place.
Nice. Now, what has changed since you first got this the location that you're at now, which is it's in Brooklyn. It's what's the exact name of the town? I forget. I'm sorry.
Oh, we're in Brooklyn. It's in Prospect Lefferts Gardens. It's a mouthful, so we always just call it PLG. That's the nickname for the neighborhood. That's our original location. That's where I am right now. The boardwalk behind me, conveniently located around the corner from our house. So that's been, very helpful getting started, being that close. And then the other location in Williamsburg is, depending on how you get there, it could be, like a 25-minute bike ride up there, or you hop on the bus. So it's far enough away that it's kind of a separate area.
Nice. So what has changed since when you first started at PLG to now, where you have the two locations there, PLG and Williamsburg?
Yeah, I mean, I guess in the beginning, and even the beginning few years, and even when we were here, it was really like an owner operator type situation where I was doing everything on the front end and Yasuo was doing everything on the back end, meaning I was teaching almost every class, maybe with some assistance, but it was not something I could walk away from at any point. I felt very much like if you're going to come here, you're going to see me. I'm going to be teaching the classes and everything. Where to now, with the multiple location and the offsites, I actually don't have any classes that I am scheduled to teach. But so I'm more like the principal of the school, where I'm floating around and I'm making sure that I'm making connections with all of the students. But the difference being, like in the beginning, I figured out that I really love to teach skateboarding. And so the beginning was like, how can I make this a thing that will, like, I could actually make a living and keep doing it, to now where we have currently we have a team of 7 instructors. They're all part-time. So they also, they have certain other things going on as well. But being able to enable them to have that job is kind of my job. So sometimes I feel like I'm just making sure that everything's working well there, so that instead of dealing directly with the students, I'm also dealing with the teachers, like floating around and making sure everything's going well with the teachers and the classes.
Cool. So I want to go into Some marketing questions here, because that's really important. I feel like a lot of skate program and skate shops, they lack some marketing stuff, but yours always stands out to me. I love your emails that you do. They're really fun reads, unlike mine, where it's more of like, here's the information, sign up. Yours is more of like, here's a nice story, learn about our staff. And by the way, here's a program you might like. So that's one form of marketing that I really like that you do. But before we even get in that, can you tell us who is your target market?
Who's our target market? I would say we're looking primarily in Brooklyn, but we do get students from Manhattan and Queens, and we're basically looking for, any families that are looking for quality enrichment activities. With skateboarding, it's kind of a natural, like it's a physical activity, but it's non-competitive, it's individual. So it is going to, it's also with skateboarding, it's not something everyone's doing the same thing at the same time. You're kind of all doing your thing, like you're skateboarding, you're doing your own thing all together. So it's very adaptive, I think, to different like learning styles or behavior types. So I think that it's really cool with skateboarding being such a unique, like dynamic activity for kids that might not find themselves really comfortable in like a team sport setting, or people that like just want to be creative and move around and not have like a preset goal at the end. But kind of just to drill down to more like the marketing, yeah, we're looking at like each of our locations are in neighborhoods, so people within walking distance are going to be there, but also people that can get to us within 30-40 minutes easily. And then even for our camps, we have some students come from even further away. It blows away to think of like some students coming from like Long Island or New Jersey to come to our camps, because they're really, aren't like skateboarding as a thing. There's offerings in Brooklyn, but maybe not everywhere in the tri-state area. There's as many quality skateboarding offerings.
It's funny that you mentioned people coming so far away. There's two separate times that I can remember right now where there's people that came to Skate the Foundry here in Philadelphia that were from New York, and we're like they were like, you can just go to SkateYogi.
That's funny.
Yeah, so I'm
They went
sure
down, yeah.
I think there was like one person that said that because they took an adult class with us, and then
Yeah.
I told them about SkateYogi, and then the next time they came, they're like, "Yeah, we went to SkateYogi," and then
Oh,
I
that's
never
awesome.
seen them
Thanks for that.
again.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a small world, especially when you get into the adult offerings, because I think here, even in Brooklyn, there's less adult classes. Like it's really like for kids, and we've kept like pushing our age down to like I mentioned earlier, we have, like we call it the skate tots, like parent and me class for ages 2 to 3. I don't think we could go any younger than that, although but the twos and threes are really fun. I've been doing that class now for like 5 years. We have a threes and four, a 4 and 5. So we have all this like segmenting in this category where previously, some you might say, all right, skateboarding for 7 and up and just exclude all the younger ones. But there's actually a lot of fun stuff that kids can do at a younger age. Even if a 2-year-old really isn't learning how to skate independently, they're still getting a really good test of their balance and coordination, and also the socializing of it. It's a very fun activity for them to participate in.
Yeah, I remember when I first visit Yui and when we came to SkateYogi, that's when we first met you. Probably about 6 years ago, 6, maybe 7. That's when I started doing skateboard programs, and that's how I came across SkateYogi. And and seeing the young group, that's what always stood out to me. And I remember one of my questions was when I got to SkateYogi, I asked you, like, how do you go about teaching that age group? And one thing that stood out to me, and it's still, this helps me out a lot, and I tell this to my instructors, I said, it's not about teaching them skateboarding. It's more about teaching them coordination and, like you mentioned, the social aspect. We're not really teaching them to go out and do an ollie. That's impossible for like a
Right.
2-year-old.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we're just teaching them the mechanics and increasing their balance in a fun way with skateboards. But that's what maybe not word for word what you mentioned to me, but that is the gist of it. And that really stuck with me and helped me out and, gave me the confidence to actually expand our age group to a younger audience. So, yeah. So, can you maybe like even
You
like
have any
talk?
2-year-olds yet? You have any
I
2-year-olds?
I have taught a few 2-year-olds, but you know
Nice.
what? It's like it takes a special instructor to do that. So it is a little challenging in that way. And similar to you, like I'm kind of bouncing around to different locations, making sure everything's running smoothly. So for me to commit to like a 2-year-old class could be a little much to do on a weekly basis. But I
Yeah,
do
yeah, yeah.
private lessons with like 2-year-olds
Oh
sometimes.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's probably
Yeah.
yeah. Finding the right teachers for the twos and threes is definitely key.
Yeah. So, just real quick, what do you think is like your main like core age group of kids that come or that you kind of look for? Like, most of the kids around, like for us, it's like we focus mostly on the ages 6 to 12 or 6 to really like 10 is like our core age group. And then after that, comes like the adults and then like the 2-year-old, like the really young group. But 6 to 10 is like our sweet spot. What's yours?
Yeah, I mean, we say our kids group 7 to 13. As you know, with skateboarding, once you get to a certain level of proficiency, age isn't really that important, but I know socially it could be. 7 to 13 is what we say, but I like what you're 6 to 10. Sometimes when we're saying seven, that's like six going on seven. And then it tends to be on the younger end of that. So I would say, yeah, that sounds about right, where you're looking at something like 7 to 10, where you're talking about maybe like second through fifth grade as being a really like core group. That's, the parents are looking for things for the kids to do. They're like a good age, mature, and physically, and also like their fear hasn't caught up too much. So I think that at a sweet spot, that's like really good for learning to skate. We're getting more interest on the younger end, but I think like as far as our main programs, like our summer camp where we're out all day, you do need to be a certain age, I think, to be able to sustain that energy throughout the day. So yeah, I'm pretty kind of agree with that, like 6 to 10. And I will say, even though we say 7 to 13, I have a 13-year-old daughter, so I know that when you're 13, you don't really want to hang out with 7-year-olds, even if they're just as good at skateboarding as you. So we've started to kind of go with like, we call it a teens class, but it's like from like 11 to 15, where you kind of capture those like middle schoolers that might want to have their own space to do their thing. So it's, but when we're segmenting, we're primarily segmenting by age, not really by experience level for the most part, just because I think that one, people can't really assess their experience level too well. We've tried it in the past. We found that to be difficult. And then also just with skateboarding, like I was saying before about it being an individual activity doing groups, as long as you're not an absolute beginner and you need to stop and learn how to step on the board, once you're rolling, you can really kind of skate with like mixed experience levels, and everyone's kind of contributing to the session, like learning off of each other.
Yeah, totally. I can't agree with you more. Yeah, we have very similar with Skate the Foundry as well. We noticed that once, you're up to 13, we have a problem actually enrolling 13 plus age groups. We notice like they don't even want to be in a program with other 13-year-olds sometimes.
Yeah.
It's like they're too cool. They just want to do their own thing. But we do have a lot of 13-year-olds or like teenagers, I would say, doing private lessons. They much rather get like they want to skate. They're teenagers going through things, so they don't want to be in a group to learn how to skate and like feel vulnerable in front of others. So we noticed that the private lessons definitely work really well with them. But some teenagers really do like being in the groups. But for the most part, I feel like it's mostly like the private lessons that they really enjoy for us at least.
Teens, we've tried teens classes, and it's yeah, it's the paradox. I don't think the parents that want to sign their teens up for the class, the teens don't want to go, but the teens that want to skate, maybe the parents aren't, like trying to get their kids to skate. So yeah, maybe with a lesson here and there, but yeah, we have not been successful getting like an actual like teens class going.
Yeah, we in the past we actually had success for 1 year before it dropped off. I think it dropped off because one of our instructors that they moved, so they were no longer working with Skate to Foundry. But we had a high school class, so we changed
Oh,
the
nice.
name. The instructor actually came up with this. They changed the name instead of teens session. They said it's anyone in high school join this session, and it filled up, and it was an awesome class.
Nice.
Yeah, but like I said, that instructor left, then a new instructor came in. That new instructor might have been me too, by the way. But I guess they did they might not have liked the way I taught. I wasn't as fun.
Yeah.
Um, Probably because I had like too much in my mind. I was just like, oh, after this class, I got to do a lot of work.
Yeah.
They probably like sensed that. But anyway, what are some methods that you do by obtaining new clients?
So methods to obtain new clients. We're in the heart of like summer camp fair season. So we do the summer camp fairs or any kind of even like school and community events. Like they'll have their events like the spring flings and things like that, or anywhere else. We like to activate like a table with all the information, and then we'll do some kind of activity. We do a lot of like, because of space constraints, sometimes these are indoors. We'll do balance board workshops, or we call it like the floor is lava with balance boards, just to give kids a taste of skateboarding, and then they have the information. They can sign up for our newsletter. A lot of times what we'll do is if we've got a big event going on, we'll actually offer a free private lesson for, like, we'll raffle off, like we'll say if you enter your email newsletter, or if you enter your email on our newsletter list, we're going to pick one and do a free private lesson. I think that sometimes with that kind of incentive, people are signing up. So then we've got the email newsletter. We also do, the good old fashioned walk to the neighborhoods and put flyers up. We do that sometimes. That's usually me, actually, which is fun. I get my cruiser board and just like cruise around the neighborhoods and try to find the cafes that I can leave flyers at, post up. I do that. It's always like a little fun exercise for me to do. Beyond that, we do a little bit of print advertising in some of the local magazines, because we know that those are going to be in the grocery stores all over the place, like the New York Family or Parks of Breed or things like that. We've been happy to have good SEO on our website. So for Google, usually when someone's looking for skateboarding lessons and they're in New York, they're going to see us on, if it's not at the top, then it's pretty close to the top. So definitely some people that are looking for skateboarding will find us from that. And going back to the marketing you said before about like things looking nice, I have my partner Yasuo to thank for that. Her background is in graphic design, so that was kind of an edge we had from the beginning, I think, was to be able to like make things look nice and appealing, so we can get out there, because in Brooklyn there's a lot of different offerings for kids and adults to have fun in. And then Instagram, social media marketing, whether it's organic or boosted. And then through that also, I think, especially for kids stuff, word of mouth is still really important. So making a good impression on someone has a great time doing it, and maybe they post about it, but also maybe they just mention it to their friends at school. And I think maybe not as much with the adults, but definitely with kids, word of mouth is really, really powerful, because we're all bombarded with all that other stuff day in and day out. But like a friend saying they had a good experience is really powerful.
So that's really good. You mentioned a lot of stuff, some good stuff where anyone that is just getting started can do, and then for some people that are already established, that they can do. Some of the things that when you're starting out that you mentioned is just doing these fairs or going to events and just showing up and not doing anything too crazy, not having a skateboard where you're giving a lesson, but using the balance board and just giving them a little taste of skateboarding along with your information. I think that's so crucial, along with the raffle of the private lesson. Yeah, these are really great methods, and I do them as well. A lot of the times when we go to either an event, or if we do like a skate clinic, sometimes we'll partner with a school and we'll do a skate clinic. And of course, we're going to be there doing the skate clinic, but the entire time, like, we have, like, we have to get them to come back to Skate the Foundry. So we're doing everything that we can to really market to them, but not in a way of like we're really trying to like push this down like a kid or a parent's throat of coming back to Skate the Foundry, but really, like you said, informing them and giving them some type of incentive to come to Skate the Foundry.
Okay, so Brett, thanks for mentioning that because it reminded me of something I really wanted to say, which is, with skateboarding, it's not for everyone. So you're going to get out of maybe 10 kids that try it out, maybe a few of them will be like, oh, that was fun. A few might not really be into it if they fell or they, just figured out it wasn't for them. But one or two are really going to get that spark in their eye. And you never know, maybe they'll be like a lifelong skater and they had the chance to try it out. And sometimes it's the kids you wouldn't expect or the parents didn't expect the kid to be into it. So I always try to find opportunities to expose as many kids, at least to to get a taste of skateboarding, because of course we want students, but what we really want are the really passionate, engaged students that really want to do it. So being able to try it out ahead of time is a great opportunity. And it reminded me of one other thing that we do a lot of times also around this time of year. Local schools are asking businesses for donations for their fundraisers. And, some of the schools might have students that we already at, or they're right in our neighborhood. And so a lot of times what we'll do is if we think the school is a good match, like they're nearby, what we'll offer them is a free group, or not a free, it's not free because we're donating it to their school auction. So we donate a group private lesson, sometimes for even up to like 10 students. So it has a high ticket value. And then the person at the school, they're bidding on this item. So all the money is going towards the school. And then what that allows them to do is they bring themselves and 9 of their friends into your space. And so it's kind of a very nice, like win-win-win where everyone's getting it. And we've seen from that, after a full lesson, you're skating with your friends, we do get a few students sometimes that'll continue on. And it's the ones that are signing up that they know they already like it. So it's great that they've gotten a chance to try it out.
That is incredible. You just gave me something new that I have to implement in my business.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we auction away or we give away to different schools and nonprofits skateboard lessons. And that's just really just for one person. I never thought to make it increase the value by adding more people and then also having them come in your space. So there's more opportunities for people to discover skateboarding and discover, the programs that you offer. That is incredible.
Yeah, because we figured we had done the lessons before, like maybe a one-on-one, but then it's just kind of there. But if you get like a group, then you're kind of creating a fun experience. And it could be less if you don't have 10 can be a lot. Sometimes we'll do 6 if we want to have it with one instructor, but it's still a nice thing because it's something that you can share. And yeah.
Totally. Wow. Yeah. Well, I will definitely be adding that. Thank you. Got
it.
So I want to go into, we talked about the events, online marketing. That's another thing. That's something for, I guess, like more like established company or someone with experience when it comes to the SEO. I know that we also do SEO, but I know there's not a lot of skateboard organizations such as like shops or programming. Like I don't really see much skate organizations using SEO. So that's one way that we can stand out. Who does your SEO? And how did you come across, like, how did you realize or know you needed it?
Yeah, well, I guess in the beginning, what I would say, like we I don't think we necessarily were taking measures to increase our search engine optimization, but that just by continually updating our website, like we were actually doing it. And then a side effect was that we had good SEO. So that's what I kind of meant by that. Like we haven't really like gone into like too much like the back end, like trying to do that, like I don't know, like unorganically. Although if you have a tip, I'd love to take it offline if possible. But we've just found that by maintaining a high quality website and by having like a blog on it that was being constantly updated and we were like putting information up, that the side effect of that effort was that we were getting good SEO just by our own, when we were going in to check it out. And also by people, like whenever people sign up, they're saying how they were referred. so we can see how they're coming to us. And Google is still a pretty like prominent response that people give. So I guess that I'm just kind of like, it's working. I don't have like an
No,
actual
totally.
number on it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the best way to do it. Just by having an ongoing blog, on your website. That's how you just end up in the rankings in Google and just popping up all the time using those keywords. So behind you, you have the SkateYogi decks.
Oh yeah.
Awesome stuff. And I love the colors. It kind of goes with the whole theme. And what made you decide to get SkateYogi decks? And yeah, just tell me a little bit about that.
So I guess I'll step back to about 2 years ago as we were coming up on opening up our Williamsburg space. Also, we had our 10-year anniversary kind of like off in the distance a little bit. And we had our brand that we had established, like the logo and the identity from the very beginning that Yasuo created for us. And it was great. But one of the challenges of having a business over the course of years is like you want to continually like freshen things up. So after a little while, we were kind of like feeling like we needed to get, things freshened up. And it just so happens that a small design firm called Order, they're based out of Greenpoint in Brooklyn, reached out to us to see if we were interested in looking at, rebranding or updating our visual identity. And it was one of those emails that you almost like delete, but then something about it seemed more authentic. I was like, what's going, like, something about the way they worded it. And so I looked, and first thing I noticed was, wow, these people do really great work. Like they have like major clients, and that they're actually like, they're at a point now where they like to pick their clients. So it's not just like a spam email. And then the second thing that I kind of like quickly figured out was that, a couple of these designers are skaters. And so that's starting to check, and they live in Brooklyn and stuff. So we took a call with them, and, long story short, we hired Order to redo our visual identity, which includes the logo, going from like the box logo with a more like to like a more playful, I guess you can see it right here, kind of a more playful font like that. And I don't know, we wanted to do that. I mean, I guess as we were opening up Williamsburg, we kind of wanted to have something a little fresh and new. And then in the brand guidelines, they had mocked up a lot of different things that we could, usages of the branding. And one of them was a collage of like a board wall with this exact, almost like in the book, it looked exactly like this. And so a year later, as we were approaching our 10th anniversary, we were so busy, we didn't have time to plan like an actual like 10th anniversary party. So we decided like, let's just celebrate our 10th anniversary all year. And one of the things we did to celebrate that was to produce the deck in the 3 colors. It's like the crop logo, as that Order had presented. We sell them as decks, and we also sell them as completes to the kids. And just as kind of like a way of celebrating that. It wasn't something really too intentional, more of just like a celebration. And it's been fun to have a shop deck. Before we ordered them, I tried out a few prototypes to make sure that I could skate them, and they felt good. And it's been my go-to board ever since.
Nice. That's awesome. I love it. I definitely want to get a shop board as well for Skate the Foundry.
Yeah.
But timing of it is a little difficult, It's like,
Yeah.
and it's an investment, and it's just like for us, it's like whenever we sell products, it's mostly like in the fall, because summertime, there's no one really inside. Our programs are outside at that point, so we don't want to have like all this stock for summer. So we try to stock up in the fall and last us all throughout the winter. But yeah, that's something that we definitely want to do. Where do you get your boards made?
I think these are made from Point Distribution out of Las Vegas, and someone we had known had worked with them before, and the quantities worked really well. Like we could do, we had to print a certain number, but then we have the prints there, and that we can kind of order them on demand. It's still a little bit of an investment to get the stack of decks to make it worth it, but yeah, it's been pretty good. And yeah, I forgot to mention, like you just like in the very beginning, we do have a functioning skate shop here at our PLG location. But maybe the reason I kind of skimmed over it is, the skate shop business has not been so great lately. I wouldn't say that's like, a major aspect of our operation, although it is good to be able to have this service to provide to our students if they're looking for their first board or pads or helmet, or to fix up their boards with different components. But kind of where we are right now, it's not like super focused on the retail shop sales. It's more on the classes, and this is like a kind of a side to that.
Yeah, I totally get that. We're the same way. We have, so originally the shop that you visit, the Elkins Park shop, that was actually like a full-blown skate shop side of things. It just with the prices, the price increases of like materials. So of course, hard goods are going to cost more from distributors, and then the shipping prices, they are also high. So it's like getting that profit is like a little difficult. And so we focus, like you mentioned, on the actual program, and we have the products for the people who take the programs. Now, there's some people that might walk in and get some things if they're there for like an open skate. There might be an adult that might get a deck or a set of wheels, but that's not our primary focus. Like we really focus on like what our students need the most. And when we made that switch, it really helped out a retail side of things, because we didn't have, boards just sitting around. It was really just things started to move because it's exactly what our students needed, and we could, offer them that. And that's one of the reasons why having a branded skateboard would be great, because everyone needs their first skateboard, and having your logo on there when they go to the skate park, it's great to have. Do you ever see like kids or your students at the skate park with the board?
Yeah, I've seen it. I mean, even like in the very first days, I would just spray paint our logo on, like on a stencil.
Oh, nice.
I've seen that, but I've definitely seen kids with our new board. It has the logo on the top, so I'll usually like cut it out so you can see it, so it's like visible. Also, it's fun. Sometimes we get like not a postcard, but like our students will go skate like in like Rome, and like show their board, like they're skating in Rome at the skate park outside the Coliseum. That kind of thing. Like really cool. Like, all right, like out there.
Yeah.
Even a little cooler than just a sticker slap, which of course, has been
totally cool. Well, I know we've been chatting for a little bit, so I'm gonna just ask just a couple last minute questions.
Sure.
Just speaking about the skate shop side, I also remember when I came to SkateYogi, I asked you about like competitors as far as like skate shops, because I'm sure are you close to like your PLG location? Is it close to any other skate shops?
No, not for skate shops. Not really.
Okay.
No, there's actually not many skate shops like super close by.
Because I remember you were saying, well, I asked, like, do you have competitors around you that offer that sell skateboard products? And but you mentioned that you don't really see yourself as competition for like against like other skate shops, because your products are for your skaters, and that really stood out to me at that time. So I guess it's not really a question, it's just something that I remember you saying that kind of like really stood out. And it, I kind of forgot about it, and then now it's like after I closed my one location that was focusing on the skate shop side, now it's just like, oh, okay, I remember what Kevin was telling me. That's super important. But
yeah, I mean, it might be a different story if we were 100% skate shop and like really trying to, be that. But yeah, we found for the most part, most of our customers for the shop are students. And if anything, for the other people, it's more of a convenience if they need some grip tape or some bearings or something, or a new deck that we're, next to the park. And that it's more of a, people aren't going out of their way to come to us for skate product, but if they're in the area, then they'll stop by.
Cool. So do you have any plans for the future coming up?
Plans for the future? Yeah, absolutely. Let's say we would
that
like
you can that won't spoil anything.
I would love to. No, it's all good. So we currently have a few partnerships with different schools and organizations. Like for the past few seasons, we've been doing classes at the 92nd Street Y up in the Upper East Side, and it's pretty rad. We're teaching classes in their like health and fitness studio, which is literally like the kind of room with the mirrors you picture people doing like Zumba or like salsa classes. But what they do is they lay down plywood and we skate there. And it's really cool. And to be able to have that space again with the indoors. We also partner up with the Village Community School in the West Village where we have gear, and then it's like an offsite. So we have the gear stored there, and then we have teachers go and teach the classes there. We'd love to do more programs like that. I think it's another really great way, again, to make kids more accessible for kids. We've found sometimes kids will do that program, which is more of like a skateboarding light, like it's not like huge ramps or anything, but then they might sign up for a camp if they're really into it, like a few kids. Another thing that we'd really like to do is we've always kind of loved going upstate into like the Catskills and kind of look at properties up there and dream about a barn or some land to have a little like retreat, like Camp SkateYogi, we'd call it. We haven't like been able to, the numbers haven't been able to like be, compelling enough, but just as like a fun thing. We've always kind of dreamt of some kind of more locate something where you could even like go back and forth between Brooklyn to a more like rural setting would be really cool. And then lastly, one thing we'd love to do after years of doing this is to somehow package it up and look at franchising possibilities, because we put a lot of work into it. There's a lot of systems in place that we've prototyped here, as far as branding, but also operations and curriculum and everything like that. This is definitely not like something we're going to jump on immediately, but we were at a camp fair last Saturday, and a camp next to us, it was actually a former student of ours, and his parents came over and they were doing like a Code Ninja camp, but it's a franchise. So I was kind of a little bit jealous, like, wow, so you just got to get started with all this cool branding and like the thing, and like they're just get going. And I go, hey, wait a second. I mean, that looks like something we could possibly even do. I think that would be like next level, but certainly an exciting opportunity that we could look at some point.
Totally. Yeah, that is really cool. One thing that always like that stands out for me is like you guys are not confined to one location or an indoor location. You do programs all over the place, outside, you mentioned schools, just all over the place. And I think that's just really cool. And that's really hard to do. But I think it's important, especially if like someone is starting out, like not feeling restricted by being in like one location or one skate park, but to, be open to go anywhere. And yeah, in a way of like what you were saying with the franchise, SkateYogi being a franchise, in a way, it's like all these locations of yours, like these satellite locations, at these public parks or events, it's almost like a franchise itself. Like that's like a franchisee right there,
Yeah, it's a good test run of it. And it reminds me that we always used to like to think of it that what we like to do, it's the software, the programming. We're not really too interested in the hardware, especially in Brooklyn with real estate costs and everything. Like the hardware is more of like that. And I think also if you think of how we kind of got started with about 2.5, 3 years before even having a space, we learned how to teach the classes, how to get all that stuff that we like to do. And so if we can partner up with someone that has the hardware, like for example the 92Y, that's a perfect example because they have the space, and they even have already their existing customer base and everything else. And then we come in with the expertise of teaching skateboarding, how to get all that set up. Those are really the kind of things we're looking for. And also it could be nice to know as someone getting started, like to think of it that way, not to think of like, oh man, I need my own skate park or my own thing like that. Like, no, actually you can just develop your own program. And if maybe you even know someone that has a little space that you can use for once a week, or, even like plug into a program that's going on already, whether it's a camp or an after school. There's a lot of ways to kind of like, get that synergy with other organizations.
Totally. So do you have any advice for for people who are just starting out that want to have a program, but the things that's stopping them is either that they feel like there's already programs out there, there's already skate parks out there, there's not enough, like there's no space for me to get started. And also like what we mentioned earlier in our conversation about, sometimes the core skaters may feel a certain way if they're at a skate park doing lessons, and that could be stopping a new entrepreneur, trying to start up a skateboard program. So do you have any advice for people who just want to do it, but they're just something is stopping them?
Yeah, I mean, I would say definitely don't think that you have to have it all figured out before you get started. Because we're still, I mean, Brett, you could probably relate to this. We're still figuring things out as we go. Just jump in, get started, start small. I mean, maybe like don't quit your day job right away. Maybe like start small. I mean, I just started on the weekends, kind of figured it out. Make sure it's something you enjoy doing, something you have a passion for. Develop your niche offering, even if there's other people doing it in your area. I like to see be other skate schools or other people teaching skate shouldn't deter actually showing that there's a need and a capacity for it. And so the more the merrier, pick up from to on another day of the week and up from. But that just means we're all these little skate schools that are the same thing, but with a school will have a different vibe. I think everyone can offer their own thing, whether it's their own personal experience or how they're teaching it or where they're teaching it, to just kind of get started. And then, as you go along, I think one thing that's helpful is to kind of think about what you can do on your own and what you might need help with. I know this might be a little further out, but as we've grown our business, I think we've figured out the importance of hiring professionals to do certain aspects of our job that we're not, proficient at. Like we have an accountant and a bookkeeper, because Yesu and I don't like to do accounting and bookkeeping. If you like to do that, that's fine. But things that will free you up, maybe you have to pay them a little bit. But nowadays, there's a lot of services, so you don't have to actually hire someone. You can actually just have a service that maybe only like a couple hours a month does that. We even have our own, lawyer for things like that. We might need help with that, or different aspects. We even have we have a remote office manager, someone that works like on our customer service stuff, because we figured over the years that the thing that brings people to teach skateboarding might not also overlap well with like people being very good at like office work. So we have someone else that does that kind of work that's more email or phone call based. But yeah, I guess like right in the beginning, I would say, get started, start teaching and go from there.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree with you. Totally. I agree. Yeah, that's exactly how we started. I started just doing lessons, and it kind of happened organically. It was just more of actually, I don't want to get too into it, but since we're wrapping up here, but I started out with just a skate park for my friends and I, and over time, people started coming in with their kids, and I just ended up kind of giving some tips, and eventually people started asking for lessons, and then all of a sudden we have classes. And then we just grow from there. So, but like I started with a skate park because I wasn't planning on the programming. That wasn't even a thought. It was more of like I just wanted a skate park. I thought it would be kind of cool. Like I grew up like looking at like Rob Dyrdek's skate park, like before Fantasy Factory, like the Alien Workshop one, things of that sort. So I thought that was really cool. But yeah, you don't have to really start out with a physical location, and just getting started is like the main, like the most important part.
Yeah, and I think like getting started, if you have your own skate park, that's great. That's kind of funny how that like happenstance, it kind of like, it went from there. But if you're going in the other direction, skate parks, I know at least here in Brooklyn or in New York City, if you go early enough, they're pretty empty. So if you're going to do a lesson, maybe schedule early, or like think outside the box, just think outside the skate park. You might not even need your own skate park to teach someone how to, like an absolute beginner, a couple of cones, a little portable ramp. Like that's really maybe all you need. If you're doing it in someone's driveway or in an empty basketball court or something, that's really all the amount of space you need to show someone the basics of skateboarding.
You provide the platforms that you are on if people want to search you, search SkateYogi?
Oh, sure. So we're pretty active on Instagram still. Our handle's just SkateYogi, SkateYogi. We're also on YouTube. We have some videos. We're not like super active on that, but we have like our summer camp promo video. Also some stuff we had done like tutorials there. And then our website is skateyogi.com, and you can learn about our classes and all their stuff there.
Awesome. If someone wanted to reach out directly to you with a question or anything like that, is there a way that someone could do that?
Yeah, they can send us an email to hello@skateyogi.com.
Awesome. Well, that is all we got. Kevin, I just want to say thank you again. This has been an awesome time chatting with you, learning more about SkateYogi. I definitely learned some stuff that I can use and implement into my business right away. So I appreciate your time here.
Yeah, man, thanks for having me. And I still keep meaning to get down there to try out that bowl you guys got there. It looks so fun. I hope maybe this year we can make it happen.
Yeah, definitely. And you know, I got to get up there too. Yui and I keep talking about it.
Yeah, that's right.
Once the weather breaks, we'll meet up.
Almost there. We're almost there.
Yeah, cool. Well, thank you again. I appreciate your time.
You got it. All right, thanks. Thanks, Brett. I'll talk to you later.
Oh my gosh, sorry. Thanks.